Hello and welcome to Voices of Maximilian Globus, the podcast where we explore the people, ideas, and innovations shaping the future of global excellence. I'm your host, Dennis, and I'm proud to be part of the Maximilian Globus family, a company that thrives on connection, ambition, and impact. Each episode will dive into inspiring conversations with team members, leaders, partners, and visionaries from across our global network. Whether you're tuning in from one of our offices or simply curious about what drives us forward, this is your behind-the-scenes look at the culture, values, and creativity that fuel Maximilian Globus. So sit back, plug in, and let's explore what makes Maximilian Globus more than just a company, but a movement powered by people. Today on Up and Personal, we have the privilege of welcoming Mr. Kenneth Vamshi, a distinguished senior GCC leader. With years of leadership experience in the Global Capability Center space, Kenneth has been at the forefront of driving innovation, building high-performing teams, and shaping the future of global operations. It's an honor to have him with us today to share his journey, insights, and lessons in leadership. Welcome to the show, Kenneth. Let's begin with your journey, Kenneth. Who or what inspired you in the early stages of your life or career?
Well, who or what inspires me? I think the simple answer would be I draw inspiration from everyone around me. And generally, I like to be surrounded by ambitious people. So if I have to put what inspires me the most, I think the three different qualities that I look for in people to draw inspiration. I think the first one is pivoting to a purpose, because it's very important to find clarity, and not just in what needs to be done, but most importantly understanding why it matters, because purpose ignites passion. It actually guides decision making and inspires everyone that matters to rally behind that common mission. And for me, I think that is one of the most important element that I look for drawing inspiration. And the second one is set ambitious goals. I think the true hallmark of successful people has always been that they have always set very ambitious goals, not just for themselves, but everyone around them. And I think for me, that particular ambition is what I think fuels success. It actually challenges the status quo. It actually drives people, to achieve innovation and also set very high and new benchmarks for themselves. Because limits are only those we choose to accept. So yes, this is the second element. And the third one is, I think that this is the most important one, sustained efforts. Because success is never accidental. It is always an outcome of sustained efforts. It requires turning resolve into results day in and day out. Because both persistence and consistency is what transforms vision into reality. So each step always takes you closer to your ambitious goal. So yes, what inspires me? Yes, three things. One is pivot to a purpose, set ambitious goals, and the third and most important one is sustained efforts.
That's a really powerful way to put it, Kenneth. I think those three pillars will resonate strongly with anyone listening. Okay, so was there a defining moment that made you believe this is what I'm meant to do?
Hey, thank you for this question. I'm very passionate about this. Close to a decade ago, a defining moment arrived when my twin passions, one is finance and the other is technology, and they aligned beautifully together to create a very unique career opportunity for me. A new department in my organization was being set up, and it was called Finance Systems. I knew this was my calling, and this is my chance to steer my career into my twin passions. So I didn't even blink to take this plunge because I instinctively felt this was right. Honestly, this was the defining moment in my career, and I've never since looked back. I have since stood up numerous production support teams. I have formulated operating models. I have integrated finance systems operations and systems maintenance as a service offering. And most recently, I've also led digital finance visualization for global finance. And I'm very proud for architecting it as a center of excellence for the entire group to digitize their finance outputs. So again, looking back at every step fueled by passion, and I think this move that I made about a decade ago to combine both my twin passions, finance and technology. So I think this will definitely stand out as a career defining moment.
That's a really powerful reflection, Kenneth. It's amazing how one defining moment can bring such clarity and set the course for the rest of your journey. I think a lot of our listeners will resonate with that. Okay, so what challenges tested your resilience and how did you overcome them?
In today's world, leading organizations through digital transformation in a very highly regulated environment, and that too in an ever-changing technology landscape, poses a wide variety of challenges. And these challenges are often multifold, and they demand not just agility, but they also demand foresight and a very steadfast commitment. Let me give you my 3 biggest challenges and how I overcame them. Firstly, you need to ensure compliance with strict regulations like SOX or operational risk or the risk controls framework in a very rapidly changing technology environment. And this requires you to balance both innovation and rigorous governance. On the one hand, you need to be doing everything to safeguard your systems, you need to safeguard your data, and on the other, you need to manage your risk proactively. So for me, this warranted a very strong enterprise-wide great frameworks and collaboration between all departments like finance, change, IT, and the business units. Secondly, the biggest challenge was it is very important to drive cultural change across a diverse and global organization. And in my experience, it demands both sensitivity and adaptability. And what worked for me was fostering inclusion and continuous learning and cross-functional collaboration. Because as a leader, it was my number one priority, to build mission-driven, high-performance teams that are naturally empowered to embrace transformation. And finally, sustaining momentum throughout this complexity of scaling new systems or setting up new processes, whilst you have to deliver measurable stakeholder value, is only possible through visionary operating models and requires both persistence and consistency in execution. With every team, I used to spend a lot of time clarifying, our team's purpose and align that to the organization's. And we always used to regularly recalibrate it to say, yes, we are on the right path. So communication is key, and I've heavily invested in chairing various forums and also through various written communications to ensure that the communication flows. And to summarize, I think overcoming these challenges is not about applying quick fixes, but rather embedding resilience as a core mindset within the organization. You need to learn from your setbacks, you need to adapt swiftly, and you need to be relentless. You have to be relentless pursuit for operational excellence. And that you have to balance it again with compliance, you need to balance innovation, you also need to ensure that you manage the human potential. I think for me, these are the challenges that I had faced, and hopefully what I've shared will help others as well.
It's reassuring for our listeners to hear that even leaders at your level have faced setbacks and tough phases. And that resilience really comes from how you respond in those moments. The way you turn those challenges into learning experiences is truly inspiring, Kenneth. So, have you ever felt like giving up? And what kept you going?
Absolutely. Each time I faced a roadblock, I think giving up seemed an automatic choice. However, what kept me going is again those three things. I think the first one is pivot to purpose. I think a deep conviction that my work serves a greater mission, which is far beyond my challenge. That's how I used to look at it. Honestly, I mean, this sense of purpose anchors me through these uncertainty, the failures, or even rejection. And all of this actually fuels my resilience. And then the second bit is, again, equally important are also my ambitious goals. They actually provide me direction and the motivation, especially when the path gets difficult. And above all, it is the impact to that recipient, to the teams that I serve, and the stakeholders that I serve.
That's really inspiring, Kenneth. It shows how purpose can pull us through even the toughest times. Okay, how do you now see yourself as a source of inspiration to others?
Well, if I deeply introspect myself, my life tenets have always been on the power of constant evolution. And even in my career, I have realized that success is not just about either functional or technical skills or even achieving, your own career milestones. But what really matters is the journey of that transformation. And as a leader, my aim is not to lead by example. Honestly, it's not to lead by example, but my ambition is to empower others to find their purpose, help them set their ambitious goals, and also make them commit to those sustained efforts. As I had articulated, to your first question, you'd ask me about my inspiration, because throughout my career, throughout my life, there have been only three things. One is always, purpose is and has always been my true north. And the audacity, in setting ambitious goals to push my own boundaries and the boundaries of people around me. And then finally staying consistent with the efforts, even when the path is absolutely not clear or is difficult. And I realize if I'm able to inspire others to have the courage to pivot to their own purpose, to set their own audacious goals, and then stay on course, with relentless efforts, I think then I have achieved, my leadership goal. And my inspiration is not about perfection. It's about how people can always evolve, how they can always grow, and do that with a deep sense of purpose. And if my journey can help someone else believe that, their dreams are attainable, no matter how daunting, the goal is or how distant the goal may seem, then I consider myself to the source of inspiration I have always hoped to find.
That's wonderful, Kenneth. The way you see your role in uplifting others really shows true leadership. That's all for part 1. Stay tuned. Part 2 is coming up next with more insights you wouldn't want to miss.